My name is Marin. I am 26 years old. I live in a small town called Willow Creek just outside of Austin, Texas. When I was a little girl, I dreamed of a simple, happy life. I wanted to fall in love with a good man. I wanted to get married one day. I wanted maybe 1 or 2 children. I pictured a cozy house with a backyard where kids could play. I thought love would come easy and stay forever. But life taught me something different. Love can feel real and then disappear when things get hard. I met Jasper when I was 22. He was 25. He stood tall with dark wavy hair and kind hazel eyes. He had a warm laugh that made everyone around him smile. He loved telling stories and joking around. We first met at a backyard barbecue hosted by a mutual friend in Willow Creek. The air smelled like grilled burgers and fresh-cut grass. Music played softly from a speaker on the porch. Jasper walked over with 2 cold drinks in his hands. He offered me one and said, "You look like you could use something cold on a night like this." I laughed and took the drink. We started talking. He asked for my number before the night ended. I gave it to him. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a message from him. "Hey Marin, that was fun last night. Want to grab coffee sometime this week?" I felt a little flutter in my chest. I typed back, "Yes, I'd like that." We met at a small cafe on Main Street in Willow Creek. The place had wooden tables and the smell of fresh pastries. We sat for hours. We talked about our jobs, our families, and silly dreams we had as kids. He made me laugh until my sides hurt. After that day, we started seeing each other more often. Jasper worked as a mechanic at a local auto shop. I worked at the big grocery store on the edge of town, stocking shelves and helping customers at the checkout. He brought me wildflowers he picked on his way home. He called me every evening just to hear my voice. He listened when I talked about my long shifts and my hopes for the future. 3 months later, sitting on the hood of his old pickup truck under the Texas stars, I looked at him and said, "Jasper, I think I'm falling in love with you." He smiled that big smile and pulled me close. "I love you too, Marin, more than you know." I believed every word. My heart felt full and safe. We spent the next year together. Money was tight for both of us, but we did not mind. We cooked simple meals in his small apartment. We watched movies on his old couch. We drove out to the hills on weekends and sat talking for hours. I felt happy. I thought this was the beginning of the life I had always wanted. Then one ordinary morning, everything changed. I woke up feeling sick to my stomach. At first, I thought it was something I ate, but the next day it happened again, and the day after that. My closest friend Delaney came over one evening with takeout. We sat at my tiny kitchen table. She looked at me closely and said, "Marin, you've been tired and sick a lot lately. Could you be pregnant?" I froze. No way. We were careful, mostly, but doubt crept in. I drove to the pharmacy that same night and bought a test. My hands shook as I waited in my bathroom. The result appeared clear and strong. 2 pink lines. I was pregnant. My heart raced. A mix of fear and sudden joy washed over me. I stared at the little stick for a long time. This was real. A baby was growing inside me. That evening, I went to Jasper's apartment. He opened the door with a tired smile from a long day at the shop. Grease still marked his hands. I sat him down on the couch and said, "Jasper, I have something important to tell you." He looked at me with those hazel eyes. "What is it, babe?" I took a deep breath. "I'm pregnant. We're going to have a baby." He went completely quiet. His face turned pale. He stared at the floor for what felt like forever. Then he stood up and walked to the window. He looked out into the dark Texas night without saying a word. Finally, he spoke in a low voice. "Are you sure? Did you do a test?" "Yes," I said softly. "I'm sure." He rubbed his face with both hands. "This isn't a good time, Marin. I'm not ready to be a father. My job barely pays the bills. I still feel like a kid myself sometimes." A cold feeling spread through my chest. "But we love each other. We can figure this out together." He did not answer right away. He just said, "I need some time to think." That night, he did not hold me. He did not kiss me goodnight. I lay awake staring at the ceiling while he slept with his back to me. The next morning, he left early for work. He muttered, "See you later," without really looking at me. From that day on, things fell apart. Jasper stopped calling as often. His replies to my messages grew shorter. He made excuses when I asked to see him. The warmth that used to fill his voice disappeared. I felt scared and alone. My belly started to show a little. Every day brought new worries. One afternoon, I drove to his apartment and knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. I sent him one final message. "Please talk to me. We need to face this." His reply came hours later. "I can't do this right now. I'm sorry. Please don't contact me anymore." That was the last I ever heard from him. I sat on the edge of my bed and cried until my eyes burned. Tears soaked my pillow. I felt abandoned. I felt foolish for believing in forever. Most of all, I felt terrified for the tiny life growing inside me. I told my parents that evening. My mom, Corinne, pulled me into her arms and cried with me. My dad, Harlan, sat quietly at first. Then he said in his steady voice, "We're here for you, Marin. You're not doing this alone." I moved back into my parents' modest house on the quiet street lined with oak trees. It felt strange to be back in my childhood room as a grown woman carrying a child. Every morning I felt more tired. My belly grew rounder. I kept working at the grocery store as long as I could. Customers smiled at my bump and asked when the baby was due. I went to doctor appointments alone or with my mom. One day, the ultrasound showed a perfect little profile on the screen. I heard the strong heartbeat. Tears rolled down my cheeks. In that moment, love for my baby filled me completely. I whispered, "Hi, little one. I'm your mom. I've got you." The night labor started. Sharp pains woke me. My mom drove me to the hospital in Austin. The lights were bright. The nurses moved quickly. I held my mom's hand through every contraction. The pain felt endless. Hours passed. Then I heard the most beautiful sound, a tiny, strong cry. The nurse placed my baby on my chest. "It's a girl," she said softly. My daughter was small and warm with dark hair and perfect tiny fingers. She looked up at me with unfocused eyes. I kissed her forehead and whispered, "Hello, my sweet girl. I'm going to love you with everything I have." I named her Leora. We stayed in the hospital 2 days. Then we went home to my parents' house. My mom helped during the day, but nights belonged to me and Leora. She cried a lot at first. I walked the hallway rocking her in my arms. I changed diapers at 3 in the morning. I fed her and sang soft lullabies even when my eyes would not stay open. Some nights I sat on the floor beside her crib and cried quietly too. Exhaustion pulled at me, but then I would look at her peaceful sleeping face and feel a deep strength rise inside. "We're going to be okay," I told her. Jasper never called. He never asked about his daughter. One afternoon in town, I saw him walking on the other side of the street. He glanced at me in the stroller, then looked away quickly and kept walking. I wanted to shout across the road. I wanted to ask how he could walk away from his own child, but I stayed silent. I looked down at Leora and pushed the stroller forward. She was enough. She had to be enough. When Leora was 5 months old, I went back to work at the grocery store. My mom watched her during my shifts. Every minute away from my baby felt heavy. I missed her laugh and her soft baby smell. At work, I smiled at customers. I lifted heavy boxes. My feet ached after long hours on the hard floor, but I needed the paycheck for diapers, formula, and clothes. Evenings were full. I came home tired, cooked simple dinners, bathed Leora, read her little board books, and rocked her to sleep. My body never stopped moving. One quiet night after Leora finally slept, I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of cold tea. I stared at the wall and whispered to myself, "You're tired, Marin, but you're doing this. You're her mom, and that means something." Leora grew quickly. At 6 months, she sat up on her own and reached for colorful toys. Her giggles filled the house with light. I watched her and felt proud mixed with sadness. She was changing so fast. My old friends from before pregnancy did not visit much anymore. They posted pictures of nights out and weekend trips. I stayed home watching children's shows and singing the same songs over and over. But Leora's smile made it worth it. My parents were my rock. My mom held Leora so I could shower in peace. She cooked warm meals when I felt too worn out. My dad did not say much, but he bounced Leora on his knee and made her laugh with silly faces. Their love wrapped around us like a warm blanket. Money stayed tight. I bought only what we needed. I wore the same old jeans and plain shirts. I skipped new clothes for myself so Leora could have what she needed. When Leora got sick with a fever, I stayed home from work. My boss was not happy. "You can't miss too many days, Marin," he warned. I looked him in the eye and said, "My daughter needs me. I'll make up the time." Inside, I felt scared of losing my job, but Leora came first, always. She started standing by holding onto the couch. Her proud little face when she balanced made me clap and cheer. "You're amazing, sweet girl." At 13 months, she took her first wobbly steps across the living room. She fell, got up, and tried again with a big, toothless grin. My heart swelled with joy. "You are so brave, Leora." Time moved on. Leora turned 2. She began saying more words. "Mama up," and "More milk, please." She loved dancing to music in the kitchen. She tried putting her tiny feet into my shoes and looked so serious it made me laugh until tears came. One sunny Sunday, we went to the park in Willow Creek. Leora ran on the grass chasing butterflies. She waved at other children. A little boy shared his toy truck with her. She smiled so big. I sat on a bench watching her. The warm Texas sun felt good on my skin. For a moment, I felt peaceful. Then I saw Jasper across the park. He walked hand in hand with a woman with bright red hair. They laughed together. He did not notice us, or maybe he pretended not to. I turned my head away. I did not want Leora to see him. She did not know him as her father. He had chosen to be a stranger. That night after Leora slept, I sat on my bed and thought about the moment. I did not cry. I felt a quiet resolve. He walked away. I would not beg or wait. I would build a life for us with my own hands. A few weeks later, I received good news. The local housing office approved me for a small apartment in a quiet complex in Willow Creek. It was not fancy. 1 bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and a small living area, but it was ours. My mom helped me pack. We folded Leora's tiny clothes and placed her stuffed animals carefully in boxes. My dad drove us over in his truck. The apartment had clean white walls and a window that let in morning light. I set up Leora's crib right beside my bed. I placed a framed photo of the 2 of us on the little table. That first night, we ate toast and fruit on the floor because the table had not arrived yet. Leora dropped her spoon and laughed. I picked it up and smiled. This is our home now, baby girl. Life in the apartment was quiet, but still hard. I worked my shifts at the grocery store. I paid rent on time. I cooked simple meals like beans and rice or pasta. I read bedtime stories about animals and trains. Leora loved the book with the blue bear. She pointed and said, "Bear, funny." Some nights loneliness crept in. I missed having someone to talk to about my day. I missed being held, but I did not miss Jasper. I wanted real love that stayed through hard times, not words that vanished. One day at the checkout counter, another young mom with a baby in her stroller smiled at me. She looked as tired as I felt. "It's tough sometimes, isn't it?" she said. I smiled back. "Yes, but they're worth every hard day." She nodded. "You're doing a good job, Mama." Her kind words stayed with me. They lifted my spirit. That evening, I held Leora close and whispered, "You are my sunshine. You make everything brighter." Leora turned 3. She asked endless questions. "Why is the sky so blue, Mama? Where do the birds go at night?" I answered the best I could. Her curiosity made me smile. She loved singing and dancing around the living room. Her laughter became my favorite sound in the world. Our days followed a gentle routine. I woke early, made oatmeal or eggs. Leora ate slowly, always asking for one more spoonful. I dropped her at the nearby daycare, then headed to work. Evenings meant baths, stories, and cuddles. She held my hand tightly when she fell asleep. I still felt tired most days. My back hurt from lifting at the store. But I had peace. I had purpose. I had my daughter. One day, a letter came from the daycare. It said Leora was ready for preschool the next year. My eyes filled with tears. My baby was growing up so fast. I told her the news. She clapped her hands. "Preschool? I want a pink bag with stars." We went shopping that weekend. Leora touched every bag on the shelf. Too big, too small. Then she found the perfect pink one covered in little white stars. She hugged it tight. At home, she wore the bag around the apartment pretending to be a big student. I watched and laughed, feeling both happy and a little sad. Time was moving quickly. Leora turned 4. She grew taller. Her hair reached past her shoulders. She made friends at preschool and talked about them constantly. "My friend has a dog, Mama. Can we get one someday?" I smiled. "Maybe one day when things are easier." I took extra shifts at work to save for her needs. My body felt worn, but I kept going. "You can do this," I told myself every morning. One Friday, I came home late from a long shift. My mom had watched Leora. As soon as I walked in, Leora ran to me shouting, "Mommy, you're home!" I dropped my bag and hugged her tight. Her small arms around my neck felt like the best medicine. After my mom left, we played with Leora's dolls for a while. Then she looked up at me with big, serious eyes and asked, "Mom, do I have a dad?" My hand paused mid-motion. A small pain touched my chest. I sat beside her on the couch and took her hand gently. "Yes, you have a dad," I said softly. She tilted her head. "But he doesn't live with us." "Why not?" I chose my words carefully. "He made a choice a long time ago. He decided he wasn't ready to stay. But that doesn't change how much I love you." Leora thought for a moment, then she smiled. "But I have you, Mama." I kissed her forehead. "Yes, you do, and I will never leave you. Not ever." That night, after she fell asleep, I stood in the kitchen and let a few quiet tears fall. I cried for the girl I used to be. I cried for the dreams that changed. But mostly I cried because even through the pain, I had built something beautiful. Leora started preschool that year. On the first day, she wore her new uniform and held my hand tightly as we walked to the classroom. Her little fingers felt warm in mine. "You are brave," I told her. "You are going to have a great day." She looked up. "Will you wait for me after school?" I smiled through misty eyes. "I will always wait for you, sweet girl." She waved from the doorway. I waved back. Then I sat on a bench outside and cried happy tears. Pride filled my heart so full it almost hurt. Our life stayed simple. I still counted every dollar. I still worked long hours. But every morning, Leora woke up and said, "Good morning, Mama," with a bright smile. That joy carried me through the hardest days. One Sunday, we returned to the park. Leora ran and played with new energy. I sat on the same bench watching her. An older man sat down nearby. He looked at Leora and said kindly, "Is that your daughter?" "Yes," I answered with a smile. "She looks really happy," he said. I watched my little girl laughing as she chased a ball. "She is. That's what matters most." In that moment, I thought about all the lonely nights, the tears, the fear, and the endless work. I thought about the strength I found inside myself when I had no choice. Then I looked at Leora's bright eyes, her strong legs carrying her across the grass, and her wide, trusting smile. Yes, she was happy. And I had done it. Not perfectly, not easily, but with all the love in my heart. I had become the mother I needed to be, and that was enough. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to know they are stronger than they think. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what part spoke to you the most? And if you want more emotional stories about love, strength, and family, please subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world. Thank you for being here with me and Leora on this journey. You are not alone.